Legends. Stories scattered through time. Mankind has grown quite fond of its recounting of the exploit of heroes and villains, forgetting so easily that we are remnant, byproducts of a forgotten past. Man, born from dust, was strong, wise, and resourceful. But he was born into an unforgiving world. An inevitable darkness, creature of destruction, the creatures of Grimm, set their sights on man and all of his creations. These forces clashed, and it seemed the darkness was intent on returning man's belief existence to the void. However, even the smallest spark of hope is enough to ignite change, and in time, man's passion, resourcefulness, and ingenuity led them to the tools that would help even the odds. This power was appropriately named dust. Nature's warmth in hand, men lit their way through the darkness, and in shadow's absence came strength, civilization, and most importantly, life. But even the most brilliant lights eventually flicker and die, and when they are gone, darkness will return. So you may prepare your guardians, build your momentums to a so-called free world, but take heed. There will be no victory in strength. Perhaps victory is in the simpler things that you've long forgotten, things that require a smaller, most honest soul. Welcome back to the Struggle Session Podcast. I am your host, Otaku, and of course I have...
K1, YDE squared.
Wow, man, that was good. That was good lunch today. You always kind of went weird on that K1. But today's a little bit of a Q&A podcast today. On November 7th, RWBY Volume 8 is coming out. So I had these two lovely gentlemen to ask me questions on RWBY, just to get there a little bit of some info and some other things that possibly can happen in season Volume 8 of RWBY. And yes.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and start off with the opinion question. So, as long as I've known you, RWBY's Team RWBY, has always been the most popular. Yet, I always notice you are more Team Juniper than anything. So my question to you, what is it about Team Juniper that you find more intriguing than Team RWBY?
It's more on... So, Team RWBY is just, a bunch of... It's not like they're the bunch of girls, but with Team Juniper, their leader, in the very beginning, the leader is Jean, and Jean was incompetent. But the thing is that with Jean, they had an opposite of Jean, which was Pyrrha, which was the star athlete, the star role, but she didn't become leader. This underdog became a leader and learned from there. And I kind of like the underdog type of person, And with Jean, he learns and matures over time throughout this thing, making me love Team Juniper than the focused Team RWBY.
Okay.
Because they have their strengths and weaknesses, but with Team Juniper, Jean was their main thing that got me, was that he overcome of his failures and everything.
So to put it quite frankly, you love more of their development as a team than RWBY.
Yes, because Team RWBY was more bickering and learning themselves through that, which is pretty cool. But I like the development of a skill, because they have their skills, but what they were lacking was the cooperation, their teamwork. Jean was completely just no aura, no semblance. Right, so he was just a man with a sword and a shield.
Yeah.
And it was them learning, mostly it was because of Jean, is just him growing. Is what got me into Team Juniper.
Okay.
So this one is a bit more on the obvious side, but what happened to the moon?
So the scattered moon, this tells you in season 6, so I should have said this beforehand. Spoilers ahead if you have not watched up to Volume 7. This is all spoiler alerts. These guys have accepted these spoilers. So, the moon. Salem is this main villain of this whole story. But way back then, she was just a normal person. And her boyfriend died, and the son, the god of life, the god of man, rejected her request of bringing her boyfriend back, her lover of her life, to come back. So she went to the god of darkness, the god of death, and he brought him back, which angered the god of life to kill the boyfriend again. And then they're about to get into a fight where the god of life was, no, I told her no. You know our respectful mutualness. He goes, oh, so you have angered us. Alright, well, fuck humanity. Went up, and the gods destroyed the moon. It went straight through the moon and shattered it.
Damn.
That was like the clipping part. There was more to it, but
I'm thinking that it would have caused like hell of floods around the planet.
no. It's more towards the moon doesn't help anything. It was like the god of death and life to just the balance of things.
Okay.
The moon didn't really do much.
Okay.
The moon's still there.
Yeah, they can still like gravity the Earth. Like, the moon's still there.
Yeah, but this is a different type of Earth.
Yeah, different Earth.
Yeah.
It ain't Earth. So the moon's only symbolically in pieces. That is what you're saying.
It's kind of like a symbolism of how everything is falling apart.
Alright, basically. I got you.
Because it's slowly going away.
Okay, so gonna jump right into a bit of spoilers from season 7 into 8. So, as you all know,
Like I said, moving in with this question. So, as we all know in Volume 7, RWBY is starting to have a little confliction in her choices. As you know, she does hide the truth of Salem and the relic of knowledge from James because she doesn't fully trust him.
Yep.
So, based on that, in Chapter 8, do we believe that RWBY will start to have a mental battle within herself of trust? And could that lead her to the dark side?
Not really, because she has a good of heart. The reason why that she didn't tell Ironwood, which is James, was because he's already stressed enough. Ironwood was paranoid. He only trusted 5 people, about 7 people. And then Team RWBY came in and he trusted them. But RWBY didn't want to tell him because he was already not mentally there. Because someone broke into his army to bring down Beacon, and a crazy war is happening that no one else knows, and he's not mentally there. It's his paranoia is what's getting to him. That's just why the end of season 7 was martial law, because they see a queen, which they don't know it's Cinder, but they know it because Cinder's affiliated with Salem. He freaks the fuck out. And so her holding it was justified because of how Ironwood is. It was a leader's choice. I would have also made that choice too, knowing how Ironwood is. Paranoid.
okay,
And paranoia is not very good when leading an army.
paranoia always leads to bad decisions and can lead to very huge mistakes. Okay,
Exactly.
very good, very good.
Alright. So I've heard of what's the relation between Ozma and Ozpin?
Okay,
think
so Ozma
name is it.
was Salem's boyfriend. And
Gotcha.
when he died, she was broken and then brought him back. And then the god of death was like, alright, you're dead too. The god of life was like, I'm gonna bring you back. You must stop Salem. Salem is now immortal. She cannot be killed. She tried multiple suicide attempts, and she just tried to get every single kingdom to attack the gods. That's why they destroyed everyone but Salem and then disappeared. That's what the 4 relics are. If you bring the 4 relics, the gods come back. Ozpin is to make sure that Salem is defeated and the relics don't come together. Because if the relics come together and the world is not at peace, they will destroy everything. Those are their words. Ozpin, or should I say Ozma, was reincarnated into someone else's soul. into someone else's body, and they were fighting control over the body. But he convinced them every time, and he's been taking over their bodies every time. And every time he dies, he goes to a different person. And it's not a baby. It's always like maybe a teenager or maybe an adult, and we don't know. But it's never a baby. He's never reincarnated. He just goes into his soul goes into another person that contains a soul. And it keeps going. So every time he has to change his name. So right now we're at Ozpin. Like maybe every 100 years he changes his name. So it doesn't seem like very questionable.
Yeah.
But Ozpin and Osmo are the same person.
Alright.
Okay. So another opinion question. So earlier in September, it was announced that RWBY was getting another video game. Now, we all know the original video game was you can pick between Team RWBY and Team Juniper, and you have to go on adventure. Now, seeing that Way Forward, i.e. the studio that makes Shantae and River City Girls, and Arc Systems, which is known for the Guilty Gear franchise, are teaming up to make this along with Rooster Teeth. Do you believe this could be a fighting game or an adventure game? And if so, who do you hope, based on all of the volumes combined, it makes this game?
So I want to say maybe both. You know how like something like Z Fighters-esque
Okay.
type thing, but I don't know until I see. Trailers can be deceiving once trailers come out.
I agree.
But I do hope it's a mixture of both. Like Naruto Ninja Storm series, where there's a story mode and you can actually do like battles. I'm just hoping, not like Smash like everyone, but like you got Team Juniper, Team RWBY, Team Sun, Team Crime, Team Salem, the Ops, the Ace Ops, Penny, and just anyone with a sword, maybe even Ozpin, I'm just hoping maybe a good chunk amount of people will be there, like the main protagonist and antagonist. Maybe shooting for a person from the book. They made a book, and it's I forgot what the character's name is, but she's really cool because she's in the app of RWBY Amity Arena.
Okay. So, but like, seeing as it is 2021, we all know that it'll probably go to next gen. But you're like fully think that this could be maybe the big game that RWBY needs to have a full like stamp on gaming, and then maybe a crossover. Seeing as she was a crossover, her and Team RWBY were a crossover in Blaze Blue Tag Battle.
They were a crossover, but I believe they were a DLC.
Yes, but they came in later. But they were like the fourth crossover. Then they brought in.
I don't think
Arcane Hearts.
Blaze Blue is gonna jump in with RWBY. It's just they just like, here, you can use our characters. That's fine.
Yeah, because it was just literally out of nowhere that RWBY got to be in there. Because I was mainly expecting Guilty Gear to be in Blaze Blue cross tag, but then they said no, RWBY, and we're like, okay, they're down with this.
Yeah, no, they have their set of weapons and skills, which I love.
So, like how the naming scheme, how the characters are named, like they seem to go for like this common theme, like fairy tales and etc. Like, is it a cultural thing across Remnant, or
so like what are you saying? Like the correlation between fairy tale and RWBY? Like,
yeah, the naming scheme.
Naming scheme, it's mostly inspired by folktale and all that. Like RWBY's based on Red Riding Hood. Blake is based off of Belle. Weiss is based off of Cinderella. Was it Cinderella or was it Snow White?
I think it's Snow White.
Weiss for white.
I think it was. Hang on. This is the breaking period. Yeah. Redo that. Weiss based off of Snow White, and Yang is based off of Goldilocks. You got some complicated ones like anyone on Team Oz is actually based off of the Wizard of Oz. Then you have Penny as Pinocchio, and so forth. It's just basically based off of just different folk tales. Like, Sun Wukong's based off Sun Wukong. Um,
Journey to the West.
Neptune is based off of the Poseidon and so forth. Now, if you're talking about team names, there's a
It's
certain
just abbreviation.
no.
First
It's
letter,
a certain rule about it. It has to be some sort of color. So Team RWBY, Team Juniper, Team Cardinal, Team Prime wasn't part of it, but like Team Sun. They had a specific way of naming it, and that was one of the rules. Was it has to be
based
color.
on things that are strongly associated with colors.
Yes.
Okay, and my final question. Now, this goes back to, I would definitely say, Arc 1 and 2, and I would consider this like the first major controversy of the series.
Okay.
So, of course, we all know, spoilers if you haven't seen it, Breyas passes away, sacrificing her life to protect her.
Okay, it's not Freya, it's Pyrrha.
Pyrrha, thank you for the correction.
Pyrrha passed away in Volume 3.
Okay, so she passed away in Volume 3. And as part of that, you know, the community started getting really huffy about that, saying that the reason she passed away was to literally give Jean and Ruby a shot to be a couple, which was being hinted at in the previous, a little. However, you know, they were trying to say, oh, maybe she will come back. So the question to you, what was your views on her passing? And do you think she'll have any kind of chance of coming back? Or is just literally because her...
Alright, I tell this to a lot of people. Pyrrha's dead. Period. No matter what. I always think she's coming back. She's never coming back. I was shocked. I was sad. And I was still shocked. Mostly shocked. I watched that episode 3 times. And that was at Katsucon. When I was staying at the Gaylord. And I watched that profusely. I did not go to the rave that day. I just kept watching it because it just shocked me. Now, Pierre's never coming back because the showrunners have confirmed that even before Monty died, rest in peace, 2015, Pierrot's planned to die in the very beginning. Her backstory, anyone in Team Juniper is cross-gender. So Jean is Joan of Arc. Nora is Thor. Lion Ren is Mulan. And Pyrrha is Achilles.
Oh.
Because in the story, Achilles' mother had to dress him up as a girl. And guess what he called her? Pyrrha. And the killing blow that killed Pyrrha, straight to the ankle. She was planned to die in the very beginning. She's not coming back. And no, it was not to lead to a relationship between RWBY and Jean. Her death was to symbolize strength. That with this death, they're going to try to make sure no one else dies. It was their goal, and they're trying to be stronger about that, to protect everyone. It was like in Chapter 2, when Stanley died. It's because he knew he wasn't going to make it, and that was the push for the team. That was the reason.
Final question from One Square.
Alright. So, Atlas, it's military. Most powerful, I'd say, is it the most powerful military in the long run?
The only military.
Only military.
Only military.
I was just like going around like on Reddit.
So, fun fact on Atlas, there's two parts. Sorry, there's 2 parts of Atlas. Atlas has a tall structure up there that is like the rich, middle class. Below is Mantle, which is like the poor. You can see it snows down there, but they have an electrical system to make the heat so they don't see the snow, so that they're warm. But if you turn off that electrical, off that heat, you'll see the snow and it starts to get really cold because they're up in the north. Continue.
Alright, so my question is has there like whenever factions like across RWBY get into war? Is it like usually like species based or I guess beliefs based or
It's
how? Yeah, what?
it's kind of they did have a war between the humans and the faunas. The faunas are animal-based people, half human, half animal. Like they have distinctful stuff. Like some may have like cat ears or a monkey tail, or rabbit ears, or chameleon skin, and it's basically based off of real life, race war, and it gets bad enough that the White Fang comes into play. The White Fang was, just a peaceful until, three claws, boom, they're like a radical team. Trying to find equality by, destroying human life kind of thing,
Okay.
It used to be protest and now it's, stealing shit. But it's a race war. I mean, they got their own place down in Vacchio, but it's a small island. It's a really small island. And, it's still not fair, but, we don't know how it's going to turn up when it comes, up through the seasons. But Season 8 is going to take place right after Season 7. At Season 7, RWBY goes crazy, has the relic, and is supposed to send Atlas up, leaving Mantle behind, killing everyone that's underneath Mantle to keep Atlas safe, using gravity dust to lift it up. And Salem, according to the trailer, she has the relic that was in Haven, which still has one question to be answered, and then it's gone for 100, and then you can't answer for another 100 years. And Team RWBY's coming back, and they're still wanted by Atlas police, and Crow is under arrest. We'll try to see how everything goes from there. But do you guys have any other questions, or just in general that I did not get a chance to answer? Any lore type things, anything that you were confused about? Real quick before we wrap things up.
No, K1 got anything?
I guess I'll just ask you another opinion question. What two characters would you like to see fight in the future? Like, what is your go-to fight that you want to see before this entire series ends? Like, any two characters. You got to
Fight.
Like, if there was just a fight you really wanted to see between any characters in that universe, which one would you love to see before this series ends?
I mean, all fights is just what I hope for. But there's not really a specific two people I want to see fight. I just want to see where this story goes. If not most of the fight, I love the storyline, and maybe finally get that fight with Cinder versus RWBY, like an actual real good fight. But that's gonna happen sooner than. Maybe sooner, probably later down the line, maybe this season, maybe next season. I don't know. But all way to find out is to tune in. Make sure you guys tune in to RWBY Volume 8, coming to roosterteeth.com on November 7th. Sign up to be the first member. You can get a full month free if you sign up today. I am Otaku, and as always, keep moving forward. We'll see you guys next time.
Remember to vote, wear a mask, and post the hashtag NXL4G4.